Ladies and gentlemen, as I go through this, I'm just always staying abreast of what's going on right now with XRP and Ripple. And if you are following this story and you want to stay up to date on what's going on, do me a favor, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. Hit the bell notification icon, click all so you don't miss any videos. Make certain that you hit the thumbs up as well. Hey, thank you for being here. This is Crypto Wealth. First and foremost, I'm a cryptocurrency enthusiast above all else. I'm a YouTuber. I love to talk about this stuff. I'm excited by it. I love the technology. I love what it can do. I'm a huge fan of decentralization. I love earning passive income with cryptocurrencies. I love investing in this space. I love all things crypto. I love to talk about it. I personally have not been a fan of Ripple or XRP personally. That's my personal investment choice. My personal decision. However, for me, XRP is a little bit like part of the crypto family. It's kind of like if the outsiders start messing with someone in the family, then I get defensive. And right now, this whole SEC lawsuit is really just pissing me off. And unfortunately, I think XRP, based on this article and some of the perspectives presented in this article, goes into a little bit more of the backstory. I'm not going to cover this whole article. I'm just going to talk about it, but I'll link the article down in the description. If you want to read the article yourself, you can. However, this is just unbelievable. Let's talk about what's going on here a little bit, kind of some backstory. The article first talks about why is Ripple and XRP, or why is Ripple being sued in New York. They go through some justifications on why New York is a good place to do it. But really and truly, my understanding is if the federal government is suing you for anything, they get to choose which district and which courts in the country they sue you. And they typically are going to sue you with courts that tend to favor them. If you aren't familiar with how the federal government files lawsuits, they almost always stack the deck in their favor. And this is one way that they do it. So really and truly, that's really what's happening. Now, another thing that's interesting here in this lawsuit, it's not just that Ripple is getting sued. Both Larson, I think one of the co-founders, and Garlinghouse, the current CEO. I think Larson used to be a CEO. One of you Ripple fans can let me know that. But they're getting personally sued as well, not just the company. They are getting sued as individuals. And it's pretty extensive what they're proposing here. They're basically proposing that they get sued for undisclosed amount of damages, that they're no longer basically allowed to benefit from the sale of any XRP at all. In fact, they're not allowed to benefit from any sale of basically any digital currency. I mean, it's kind of extensive, or any digital quote unquote security. It's kind of extensive what they're suing them for. And I think this is unfortunate. And I'll get to that a little bit later in the video. I think this whole thing, I think the losers here ultimately is all of us, not just all of us in crypto. I think all of us as humans are really getting the short end of the stick here, and I'll tell you why. Now, Ripple, XRP investors, they are getting just shot down big time. And I fully believe that it's the government fault that this is happening. I'll give more of my thoughts to the end. Let's just keep going through this. I want you to show you a couple things in here. First of all, Garlinghouse and Larson are getting in trouble for aiding and abetting, essentially, the unregistered or the illegal act of selling securities, unregistered securities, which they're arguing is a currency. We'll get to their defense in a minute, because I found something a little bit disturbing here. The reason that they're saying that XRP is an unregistered security has to do with the Howey investment contract test, or sometimes called just the Howey test. Now, if you read right here, I think this Howey test thing's a bit outdated and shouldn't apply to crypto, but that's just my personal opinion, because the Howey test basically says, okay, so I had to find the part about the Howey test. So unfortunately for Ripple and its former and current CEOs, the SEC has a strong case that XRP fits within the Howey investment contract test derived from the 1946 Supreme Court decision. We're trying to use a 1946 decision to discuss digital assets and cryptocurrency. This technology wasn't even close to being discovered, used, implemented back then. This is crazy to me, but that's okay. This test holds that you have bought a security if you make an investment of money or something of value, meaning they can say it doesn't just have to be money. You can make an investment of anything else of value in a common enterprise with the expectation of profits from the essential managerial efforts of others. Most of the purchasers of XRP, or certainly a very large number of them, would appear to fit within each of these categories. See, I find this so challenging because so many cryptocurrency projects, I think this argument could be loosely applied to many of them. And it definitely can be applied in part to Ripple, obviously. I just think this is an outdated. I think the Howey test is outdated when it comes to crypto. That's just my personal opinion. And I don't know that it matters. Like it's just, anyway, why do we necessarily need a registered security? Do you know what I'm saying? So now I want to say this as well. Back earlier in the article, brief history right here under this heading here, brief history of Ripple and XRP. They talk about how, 2015, they ended up getting in trouble with FinCEN, Financial Crimes Enforcement Network. The idea was they were saying that they were violating some of the Bank Secrecy Act. They basically were not doing KYC, AML, and they weren't maintaining KYC, AML, anti-money laundering, and whatnot. If you ever wonder why exchanges and why these projects are doing KYC, it's because it's because of the Bank Secrecy Act. So basically XRP was not abiding by the Bank Secrecy Act, and in which case, by the way, FinCEN said, hey, this is a currency. XRP said, yes, we are a currency. And so they started working to implement the changes with the settlement that they agreed to with the FinCEN, U.S. Financial Crimes Enforcement Network. Now, that aside, then lo and behold, here comes the SEC. Now, here's the challenge with the SEC. The SEC started basically getting, they started coming after Ripple all the way back on 2013 on illegal, what they're calling illegal sales of unregistered securities. They're going all the way back to 2013. 2013. Now, this is ridiculous because this is way, way before the guidance that came out from the SEC. Let me see if I can find it in here. Right down here in the conclusion. As the SEC complaint notes, the XRP sales that are now being questioned took place over many years. The initial sales date back to 2013, which had happened considerably before the SEC first publicly announced its position that digital assets could be regulated as securities if they fit within the Howey investment contract analysis, which did not come until 2017 with the DAO report. That to me is mind-boggling. And I've said it before on this channel. The government can come after you basically and predating any guidance, any rules, regulations, or laws that come out. So you could have been doing something 10 years ago that wasn't illegal. They can come out with a rule, regulation, or law today and hold you accountable for what you did 10 years ago, and it wasn't illegal back then. So if you ever wonder why cryptocurrency founders, why developers want to stay anonymous, is because they know that they're operating in a space right now that is still developing, and they know that they run the risk that eventually their business, their project may be deemed illegal or may violate some regulation by some sort of oversight, some sort of three-letter agency. And at that point in time, they could be held accountable for something that was completely legal at the time that they started the business, or the time they started the project, or they launched a currency. If you ever wonder why developers want to be anonymous, that's exactly why they want to be anonymous. Here's the bad news, and then I'm going to cover kind of my thoughts here and why I think everybody loses here. Here's Ripple's response is basically, we've talked about it before, Ripple's response to the SEC's enforcement action came even before the SEC complaint was officially filed on December 21st. Garlinghouse tweeted out a condemnation of the SEC's planned action, criticizing the agency for picking favorites and trying to limit U.S. innovation in the crypto industry to Bitcoin and Ethereum. Soon after, Ripple's general counsel, Stuart, however you say that, gave a strong indication of how the company was likely to respond in the pending matter by pointing out that the 2015 FinCEN issue, which he claimed was a government determination that XRP was a digital currency rather than a security under the Howey test. Unfortunately, classification as a digital currency does not necessarily preclude regulation as a security. This part bugs me. As another New York District Court decided in 2018 case of CFTC versus McDonald, in the context of the Commodities Future Trading Commission's authority to regulate digital assets, federal agencies may have concurrent or overlapping jurisdiction over a particular issue or area. Thus, even though FinCEN regulates crypto as digital assets, the CFTC may treat it as a commodity. The SEC may regulate it as a security, and the Internal Revenue Service may tax it as a property, all at the same time. Which means, ladies and gentlemen, whichever best suits the government is what they decide, and you and I and the individual entrepreneur will ultimately get screwed in this thing. Now, here's what's frustrating to me, and I want to give you my wrap up with my thoughts. Here's what's frustrating. I think we all lose here. Clearly, Garlinghouse, I think what should have happened is similar to the FinCEN situation. I think they come forward, they say, hey, you're out of line, this is a problem, and we're not going to allow this, or we're going to bring a lawsuit against you. So here's some guidelines that you need to follow, and you need to basically get in line. And I think that would have been adequate at that point. And the reason I say that is because these guys did not set off to break the law, particularly in 2013 when there was no law or by the way, there still are no laws. These are primarily regulations. So this is long before there was any guidance or any regulations, before the DAO report. And so they weren't out to break laws. When FinCEN came after them, they settled, they complied, and most entrepreneurs would. You're going to do your best to preserve your business. All you got to do is go look at ShapeShift and that CEO. I mean, he's doing all sorts of KYC, AML stuff, yet he's been on record, advocating for privacy and cryptocurrency. But when his company comes under scrutiny or comes under pressure, he's going to make certain that he keeps his company afloat and keeps his company in business. No doubt that Brad Garlinghouse and this guy Larson would have done the exact same thing for Ripple Labs. However, now what they're doing is they're taking the price of Ripple, which is hurting a lot of investors, including brand new people to crypto. Tell you, over the course of 90 days, I have probably had 3 conversations with people that are less than 6 months into crypto, and eventually they say, hey, what do you think about XRP? And when someone's brand new to crypto, even though I'm not an XRP investor, that's all I'll say. I won't say nothing negative because I don't want to start. I want them to get into the space. I want them to do research. And in all 3 cases, I said something similar to the fact, well, I don't really invest in Ripple. They all told me about YouTube videos they were watching or things they were reading. They found Ripple exciting. They were investors in Ripple. Those new investors are getting hurt right now. And whose fault is it? The federal government's. There's no reason to do this. And here's the other issue. So not only are small investors getting hurt, but Garlinghouse and this Larson, I mean, these are entrepreneurs. These are innovators. You could say, hey, they shouldn't have sold that. They shouldn't have raised money that way. They should have, registered a certain way first, or they should have done this before they did that. You can argue about the mechanics of what they were doing, but at the end of the day, they're innovators. They're entrepreneurs. And the idea that you're essentially going to, for all intents and purposes, you're almost going to remove them from this space, at least handicap them in this space. You're also sending a signal to other innovative entrepreneurs in the crypto space. Hey, you better be careful. We may come after you for new laws that we create in the future, or new regulations, not even laws, new regulations that we create in the future. I mean, this hurts innovation. This hurts crypto. It's unfortunate and it's not fair, ladies and gentlemen. This is why I believe decentralized cryptocurrency equals freedom. And I believe it's this kind of overreach on our total economic system that will cause decentralized cryptocurrency eventually, when centralized projects fail. Centralized digital dollars, central bank digital dollars eventually fail. I believe the masses will say that they are tired of the government overreach. I believe that the masses will say that they want to be in charge of their own currency. And they're tired of the big banks getting rich off of their effort, their back, and their dollars. Ladies and gentlemen, decentralized cryptocurrency equals freedom. If you believe the same, do me a favor, smash that like button. This is Crypto Wealth. I'm out.